The camera shows me standing outside the Coombs Inn at dusk. The old white columns look gray in the fading light, and I'm holding my phone light under my chin like a kid telling ghost stories. It's 10:30 p.m. in Apalachicola, Florida, and I'm about to spend the night in room 7. The room guests have asked to be moved out of. I laughed at the online reviews. Then, at midnight, my audio recorder picked up a whisper that told me to get out. And by 3 a.m., I was sleeping in my rental car. A black screen flashes white text. This is a true story. Every sound you hear is real. Then the scene fades to my hotel room, a dim lamp, and my nervous face as I begin from the beginning. Earlier that day, I sat in my car outside the inn with the sun still up and birds chirping. I'm not a ghost hunter. I'm just a guy who got curious after reading 47 5-star reviews online, all saying the same thing. Beautiful inn, but something weird happened. I learned the Coombs Inn was built in 1854. The original owners, Mr. and Mrs. Coombs, died in a fire not inside the inn, but nearby. Still, guests kept reporting a woman in a long dress walking the halls, a child's laugh from empty rooms, and the smell of smoke when there was no smoke. I held up my phone, showing screenshots of those reviews with the names blurred. One review said the rocking chair in room 7 moved 3 times with no draft. Another said the front desk clerk warned them to keep the bathroom door closed. So I booked it, for you and for me. I walked up the wooden porch steps. A brass bell jingled when I pushed the door open. Inside, vintage wallpaper covered the walls, and a grandfather clock ticked loudly. At check-in, the woman behind the desk, silver hair, very polite, handed me my key. As she gave me the key to room 7, she paused for a second longer than normal. Then she mentioned, very quietly, that some guests feel watched if they leave the bathroom door open. I laughed it off. 2 hours later, I wasn't laughing. I walked down a narrow hallway where floorboards creaked under my feet. Room 7's brass number gleamed. I unlocked the door with a click and pushed it open. The first thing I noticed, the smell, old wood, lavender, and something else like burnt matches. I set up a camera on a tripod in the corner of the room, aiming it directly at the rocking chair near the window. There was no fan and no AC vent nearby. I sat on the bed 10 feet away and just watched. For a while, nothing happened. Then the chair rocked, once then twice, slowly. I jumped up and rewound the footage on the screen. Sure enough, the chair had moved without anyone touching it. No draft. I had checked. The window was sealed, old but unopenable. The door was closed. That chair moved. I showed a thermometer reading 74 degrees Fahrenheit, then put my hand near the chair. The air there was cold, like someone had just walked through. I couldn't explain it, and I wasn't going to pretend I could. At 11:47 p.m., I was sitting on the bed with my laptop open, reviewing footage. The room was dark except for one lamp. Then I heard it, 3 distinct raps on my bedroom door. I froze, eyes wide, and called out into the empty air. Silence. Then another knock, louder. I got up slowly, my phone recording in my hand. I opened the door. The hallway was completely empty. The grandfather clock downstairs was just starting to chime midnight. I checked my watch. My heart rate was 118 beats per minute. I showed the watch to the camera. No one was there. The front desk was empty because the clerk had gone home at 9. That was the moment I almost called my mom. I'm 34 years old. Back on the bed, scared but determined, I held up a small digital audio recorder. I had set on a nightstand at 2 a.m. while trying to sleep. I gave up on sleep and just let it record. The next morning, I listened back. First there was silence, then my own breathing. Then a soft, clear whisper, a woman's voice telling me to get out. I watched my own live reaction on the playback, covering my mouth. That was not me. I had been asleep, or trying to be. You can hear my breathing change right after the whisper. I woke up at 2:17 a.m. with my heart pounding for no reason. Now I knew why. I overlaid a spectrogram on screen to show the voice was real audio, not an edit. I'm not a scientist, but that was a voice, a woman's voice, and it told me to leave. At 2:30 a.m., the lights flickered. I caught it on camera. The lamp dimmed to almost nothing, then came back. I panicked but could see the hall light through the crack under the door. The rest of the inn still had power. Then the lamp went out completely. I was in near darkness, only the red recording light of my camera visible. My voice shook as I kept narrating without moving. I held up a digital thermometer. The screen read 72 degrees Fahrenheit, then dropped to 67, then to 58 in about 30 seconds. I could see my breath, a faint white puff. In Florida in July. That was not possible, but it was happening. Then the lamp turned back on by itself, and I yelped. I was done. I decided to leave. I stood in the hallway with my bag packed. Then I noticed a small square panel on the ceiling near room 7, a pull-down attic hatch. It was slightly ajar, with a string hanging down. I knew I shouldn't do this, but the hatch was already open, so I wasn't breaking anything. I pulled a chair from the hallway, stood on it, and pushed the hatch open. I shone my phone light inside. It was a small space, maybe 4 feet high, filled with old insulation. And then I saw a child's shoe, one shoe, size small, and a picture frame burned on one corner. I didn't climb in, just filmed from below. I zoomed in on the shoe, dusty, old leather. I didn't show the photo's face because I couldn't unsee it. It was a woman and a little girl. The woman's face was scorched. The girl was smiling. I left everything exactly where I found it and closed the hatch gently. I was shaking. That was enough. I walked quickly down the porch steps, my bag over my shoulder. The inn's porch lights were still on. I got into my rental car, locked the doors, and just sat there. It was 3:15 a.m., and I was not going back inside. I kept filming with my phone. I showed the battery level, 54% at 3:17. Then I time-lapsed the screen. At 3:19, it was 32%. At 3:23, it was 9%. And at 3:27, it died. That was a 3-month-old phone. It should not have dropped that fast. I didn't know what drained it, but I felt watched even out there. The next morning, in sunlight, with bags under my eyes and a coffee in my hand, I admitted I had slept 2 hours in the driver's seat with the doors locked. Back in the inn's lobby in the daylight, I saw another couple talking to the new clerk at the front desk. I didn't interrupt, but I listened from a few feet away. They had stayed in room 4, 2 doors down from me, and they were checking out. I overheard them say they heard knocking on their door at 11:30 p.m. No one was there. Then they smelled smoke, not cigarette smoke, but like a house fire, wood and fabric burning. I later filmed the boarded-up fireplace in room 4 with permission. That was the same time I heard knocking, and I had smelled something burnt when I first walked into my room. 2 separate rooms, same strange experiences. I hadn't told them what happened to me before I overheard them. They described it themselves. I held up my audio recorder again and mentioned that I had uploaded the raw EVP file to my website. Link in the description. You decide for yourself. Sitting in my car ready to drive home, I thought about how beautiful the Coombs Inn is and how kind the staff are. I'm not telling anyone not to go. I'm just saying, maybe ask for room 1 or room 6, not room 7. I'll never ignore a front desk warning again. And I'll never sleep with a bathroom door open, even if I don't believe in ghosts. Because something whispered to me. Something cold touched my neck at 2 a.m. And my phone died like a candle in the wind. I paused, looked into the lens, and asked the audience if I should return with a medium. If they comment go, I'll do it. One more night in room 7 with a professional. Subscribe for part 2. Raw EVP in description. And just as the video ends, a single soft knock comes from the car door. I jump, then laugh nervously. All right, that was the wind, I think.